Ah. Podcastica. Welcome to the show. We are finally here. I can't believe it. My name is Alex.
And I am Lizzie.
And we are finally here after months and months of interviews and finding out when this crazy show is going to start. We are back, talisman in hand. We are ready to go. Lizzie, how pumped up are you?
So excited for this first episode, but this is Christmas morning, so now it's already over.
Yeah,
the season is over. The season is over. It's over. And you know
let's
what?
just call it what it is.
It's
done. Forget it. It's all over. And folks,
later.
We've had a bunch of interviews. We've been blessed enough to go to the junket, and we learned a lot about the characters. We learned a lot about the behind the scenes, but throw that all away because we are here to talk about one thing and one thing only. Season 2, episode 1, Stranger in a Stranger Land. And this has to be a great opening act for this show. What do you think there, Lizzie?
I had to watch it over and over again. I was so out of practice with my notes and getting what my color codes meant, all of that stuff. I'm just looking and my notes look really nice and neat, actually.
Well, that is great because we're going to need every little bit of it because we are talking. Hopefully, this won't be a 2-hour podcast, but we're going to try to make it under an hour.
No,
we're going to
under an hour.
I
don't know where you are. There's no way. There is no way this is under an hour.
Well,
I'm sorry.
Let's just say this. We're going to do our best, folks. You might have to have an intermission. But I did want to start out just with the opening. And when we talk about, what music means to this show, The Hard Rain is Going to Fall by Bob Dylan really kind of, is a perfect bow to what just happened. Now, for those of you playing at home, they left off right after they picked up, right after the storm. And I think that
right then.
Right then. So there's no time in between this. And I think that, one of the things that I also want to keep in people's minds is the sentence, "Is this just a dream?" I say that because I want you to kind of think about that as we go along through this journey of these episodes, because that seems to be a good theme or a very big theme in this show this season. I also wanted to point out before I get to you, Lizzie, is that Jack Bender, I believe, directed and wrote this piece, this episode. So it's coming from the horse's mouth. We were just talking about this. I had just posted something on I saw something on Facebook, I should say, that this particular title was in season 3 of Lost or something like that.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I know it's a different show, but at the same time, it's still the same writer. It's still the same thoughts. So I think that's kind of a little interesting Easter egg that they did. So what is your first thoughts or point that you want to bring up?
Tom's gonna die.
Okay, we're done with this podcast. Thanks for playing.
There we go. Bye. This last time through, I don't know what it was, and I hope that I'm wrong, but I was just like, Tom's gonna die. But the thing
is, you think so, huh?
Yeah, because I'm trying to figure it out. Not that we've ever stopped trying to figure this whole thing out. Uh, but coming back into this episode, it just felt like they were kind of giving us all the themes and the finer points that they are intending to hit upon this season. I think that one of the questions in, the guy in, that's up above the well, asks the question, are you real? I mean,
Right.
can you imagine Kristi seeing her fiance and, Kristi knowing where she is and
Right.
looking at this woman and saying, are you real? Is this
I love
real?
Boyd's. I love Boyd's answer. Are you fucking real?
Yeah, yeah,
Like he's
exactly.
asking the same thing. He's asking the
Yeah,
same thing. But
yeah.
please.
I mean, it's just there's so much like, orange is one of my colors in my color coding stuff. And it's stuff that I want to make sure that I hit upon. And
Okay.
I think going into it, it took me a while to find my footing with the notes this time. Normally, like when we've done it in the past, I'm like, all right, what are the 5 big spots here? What are we
Right.
trying to figure out? And I didn't do that. I didn't fall into that for some reason. At every point, I was trying to, get organized and find the rhythm, and I couldn't. And I finally realized it wasn't about the 5 points. It was what are the locations the story is taking place at in this episode? And I came up with the Colony House, wherever that well is, the bus, the
Mm-hmm.
Matthews house, and the caverns. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 spots. So this is where all the action is. And some of the characters cross over to more than
Right.
one spot. But I
Do you want
was
to
just
take
like,
each scene? Do you want to take each location by itself and talk about it that way?
yeah, I think that's where we're at. I have 2 additional sections, but they can come later during the discussion. But why don't we
Which one
start?
where do you want to start? Do you want to start with the bus?
No, I'm just going to go with the order of my notes, if that's
Okay,
okay.
you go right ahead and I'll follow.
Boyd to me seems like totally separate from everybody with this. The rest seem somewhat connected. So the Colony House, and I was thinking about it. I mean, you've got, if I'm thinking correctly, it's like this Queen Anne style home, stately
Right.
mansion
Right.
up on the hill, up on the big hill. Who always lives up on the big hill? It's the mine owner. It's the mill owner. It is the Bates family. It's the big house
Okay.
on the hill. Yeah, like looking down over the little people. Okay.
Right.
But obviously, that's not what ended up there in this horror
Actually,
show.
the reverse. Actually, the
Yeah.
reverse.
Yeah. So they're cleaning up after the storm, grabbing all the radios because we've got a downpour, and
Mm-hmm.
they've got to get all that electronic stuff inside before it's ruined forever. The house is in chaos with everybody running around. A big beam comes through the front window and sprays glass everywhere. And Clara, Kerchief Girl, has a name now, which is awesome.
I
Clara
know.
gets a couple of chunks of glass and near her eye. I don't know that she got any in her
Oh no,
eye,
it
but
was like right above, right around her
yeah,
eye.
like
And
right in here. So, Kristi gets, put to work and taking the glass out. Not really certain what the point of that is, and I'm thinking we're gonna see that later.
Because she's the
And
pirate.
maybe well,
Because they
she
wanted to
is the
show her, they wanted to
following.
show her like a pirate, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm trying to think because you have two eyes that are working. If only one is working, you're seeing half the picture.
I just
So
think I just think they wanted to show one, get her back in because it would have been cohesion because she was in last season and
yeah,
she had a kind of an important sentence. You know, the storm is
yeah.
coming, so we want to see where she is. And two, they had to do something with her. Maybe
But
I'm just going to take it at face value.
yeah, I'm not going to. Knowing how much production costs and how careful this story's being told, I'm
Right.
thinking that it has to have a meaning. So, everyone's running around crazy. Donna is shouting orders, and then she stops to drink some coffee, looks like out of a Corel coffee cup. And I look down at the kitchen floor, and it's perfect. And I'm like, when did they fix the floor?
They probably didn't. It's probably a cohesion thing
What do you mean a cohesion thing?
or lack of cohesion. You know how like
Yeah, it is.
sometimes
Yeah,
they
yeah,
mess up, but
yeah.
yeah,
So, because that floor was gorgeous. And the last time we saw that part of the floor, she
Donna
was
was going at
letting,
it.
yeah, she was going at it so they could use the wood for the tower.
Right, for
All
the
right.
tower.
Yep, the tower. So let's see. Mrs. Lou doesn't buy that Ethan is not scared. So I'm going to take that little piece and move it over here, and we'll get to that. So then Jade finally gets Donna's attention and lets her know, hey, there's a big bus down here.
Um,
Like, that is
wait,
big
wait, wait.
news.
No, wait. No, it's Donna. There's a bus parked at the diner. I mean, it was so funny because she had no use for Jade, and because he's like running
Yeah,
off at this, and that is kind of an important thing when it comes to when new people show up. And not
yeah,
only was it a vehicle, but it was a vehicle that can hold many people, and it's getting dark. So it wasn't
yeah,
like it was 8 o'clock in the morning. There's a lot of ramifications to this bus when it shows up and how it shows up and all that good stuff.
yeah, because we're at mid to late afternoon, you
Right.
know? So timing is everything. And the way that they were kind of acting too, where it was storming out and the sky was dark, I'm wondering if the monsters would come out early, if they're known to come out early with something like that. Don't know.
Right.
So Jade goes goes upstairs or into a quiet alcove or whatever, because he's going to roll his joint with his very last rolling paper.
I know. I love that. This is my last
And
paper.
my last paper, and he just wants to do it in peace. But Clara comes in and she's just like, hey, I forget what she said. Oh, she asked if they had made it angry. She doesn't name anything, just
Right.
it. That the storm came in because it was angry. Because it does, it comes out of nowhere. It's like, the
Absolutely.
Truman Show, the Truman Show with that thing. So, she's just sitting there, and it looked like she had, like, someone had cut up a placemat and put it over her eye,
I know. It
But
was
at
so
any rate,
bad.
yeah, it was really bad. But at any rate, so she leaves, and he's sitting there. As she gets up, the wall starts to bleed into the symbol. And then he
Yes.
looks over to his side and he sees this, Bing Crosby looking dummy, and the dummy
I thought
screams.
it was Fred Astaire. Okay, it's
Oh,
Bing.
maybe it's Fred Astaire. I think you're right. A Fred Astaire
It,
looking dummy, and the dummy screams, and he does the most amazing thing and screams back at it
oh, I know.
because he's had 3 run-ins with the symbol. And the first time was the Civil War bodies, right? He sees the
Well,
body.
it was in the before the Civil War bodies. He was in the cellar.
Right. Yeah. He was in the cellar and he goes in there and he sees that dead guy. Yeah. Just sitting there. And the
The
guy
blood coming out of his eyes.
screams. And then he sees the symbol.
Right. That's the
And
first
he
time.
runs out of there. And that's the moment, like, he starts to wonder if it really is an escape room. Because,
we've
that's what he thought the place was. So then, it's the Civil War bodies when he's working with Jim trying to get a signal. So he
Right.
sees the bodies, then he sees the symbol.
Right.
This time is different. He sees the symbol, then he sees the dummy. In the
Right.
first 2 times, he responds in horror. He screams in horror, like he's terrified.
Right.
This time, he's just like, "Oh yeah? Well, I can scream louder than you. Like, you don't scare me.
He's like, I'm done with you. I'm sick of
I'm
you
done."
harassing me. Like, get the
Yeah.
frig away. Yeah.
Yeah. But you know what? I did notice because I saw these, all close together in the last 24 hours. The dummy scream is the same as the guy in the cellar scream. It's the same scream.
Really?
Yeah.
See, I'm so glad that you're podcasting with me because I never picked that up. I pick up some things, and that's what
it's
I
only
like that
because
you pick up some.
I only caught it because I was watching it trying to get my footing on the notes. And I just started thinking about things deeper and deeper and deeper and almost falling into wormholes with some things,
Yeah.
and
You in a wormhole. I don't believe you.
yeah. And part of that was just trying to organize these notes. So, at this point, he goes downstairs and he's smoking his joint on the porch. Out comes Ethan. And
I love this talk.
Yeah.
I love this talk for a bunch of reasons, and I'll let you get to your notes in a second.
Yeah.
Ethan and Jade and Victor I believe, are all of the same mind. And what do I mean by that? Yeah, Jade's like super smart. Don't get me wrong. But
Yeah.
he's still a very sophomoric person in a lot of ways, meaning he is just a kid who got a lot of money and a lot of privilege, and he's just going. He has matured, but he hasn't matured. And I think that if there's any one adult character that's going to listen to Ethan, it's going to be Jade, because he talks
Victor.
about well, no, take Victor out of it. Victor is Victor. I'm saying other adults that can do something about it. Nobody's going to listen to Victor right now. Maybe they will after this. But my point being is, if he can get Jade on board with the Chromonocle, they may have a chance to deal with the quest. And I love what he brings up. And now I'll let you continue with what you were saying.
I'm not sure. What does he bring up?
The conversation between Jade and Ethan. You were talking about, you were going to talk about the conversation between Jade and Ethan.
Yeah. All right. So Jade starts out with being annoyed that this little kid is bugging him because all he wants to do is sit back, grab a devil dog, and smoke a joint. That's all he wants.
He wants to be Jade.
There. Yeah. Well, he wants to be comforted by something because things didn't work out the way he wanted them to. So he's like, I've got to escape. Right. But while he's sitting there, I just love the way David Alpe moves through all of these. Like if you watch him, you know, his expressions and when he's looking at Ethan and talking to him, and he's just very animated, and he's not like everybody else in the way they interact with each other. He's just
No,
not
not at
like
all.
that. He's very
Not at all.
intense and, you know, very much his own self, you know, and not looking to look like everybody else. So the thing about it is that he's like, wait a minute. He's connecting Ethan with Victor, and he wants to know where, you know, which
Where is
room he's in.
Victor's room?
Yep. And he's looking for something. He's been walking around, like Jade hasn't let go of that journal since he found it. And so, or since Mrs. Liu gave it to him. So he's walking around, and they go up to Victor's room, and he's just like plowing through there. And,
Yep.
you know, he makes this offhanded comment that Victor's probably dead now. So he doesn't even care. He's not respecting Victor's stuff at all. And so, he's looking for something, and finally, you know, Ethan's like, what are you looking for? And he's like, I am trying to connect this symbol with something. And Victor has been here for so long that he must know what this symbol means.
Also,
and so
the one thing I do want to point out, he also does finally open up to somebody about what's going on in his head.
Yeah.
You know, he talks to Mrs. Liu about it, but, you know, okay, fine. But, you know, even though it's Ethan, I think it's the perfect person because he gives a little bit of a interesting take on what the symbol could mean. You know, when he talks about there's good and there's bad symbols, and then also, you know, Jade is like, what do you mean? And this is what I love about this show. Going back to the original statement of this season, is it a dream? Meaning this, there's going to be good and bad symbols. We have to figure out which one is which. But in the meantime, that's the quest. So I love that they talk about that. And I also love the conversation with the picture. He's like, what's a Polaroid? Because he would never know. But
you know, it reminded me of The Last of Us with Ellie and Joel and the seatbelt.
Absolutely.
You know?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I also think that, you know, when it comes to that scene, they're both working together eventually. I really do. They're starting to work together. And I really do believe that, I mean, I think you believe this too, maybe, that Ethan is the key to this whole thing.
Well,
I think
I'm going to talk about that. Yeah, I am going to talk about
go for
that.
it.
But going back to the symbols and the way that they're presented the 3 times that Jade sees them. Jade sees the Civil War bodies, then the symbol.
Right.
The screaming guy, then the symbol. So what that's telling me, that is one meaning. But is that good or bad? Because then he sees the symbol and then the dummy. And the thing is, like, the dummy's not alive, has never been alive. So the dummy might mean, when you see the symbol first, the dummy might mean something is fake. It's not real. Whereas with the dead bodies, you see those first, and then the symbol, maybe that's real.
I don't know if I'm ready to jump to that, but
I'm not.
it is a good
I just came up with
I'm
that
saying,
just now.
I'm just saying though. I mean, I don't know if I'm ready to jump to that yet, but it's a very awesome theory. You know, that's a great pickup. No, I'm saying that's a great pickup about the symbol and the person, or in this case, the symbol and the trans. What is it? How do you say
dummy?
it?
I'm just the tranquility.
Well, I know the trans.
Why can't I say it? Tranquility.
Okay, folks, you can write in and tell me how it's said.
Tranquilicus.
I know we can't say it. I tried. Even in my notes, I tried to use the voice, and I'm like, tranquilicus. I can't. Anyway, the dummy. The dummy.
Tranquillism.
No, we're both saying it wrong.
Oh, I don't know. But anyway.
But I think that's an interesting take.
Yeah. I mean, the thing is, like, I don't know if I've ever told you or said this on, on the podcast or anything, but like, well, I did yesterday when we were talking to Scott. I mean, I got my degree in chemistry. Trust me, I am no Einstein, but what I learned was how to go about a problem. I love teaching math. And the whole thing is you take what you know and identify it. And then you have your unknown. And you take what you know to figure out what the unknown is. So I'm starting to put things in place. And it's like the first season may serve as a set of documents that we can go and do research and consult. Almost like, all right, well, here's what this book is saying, and we can go in and do that research and then apply it to what we're learning here. And that's what I did with the whole symbol thing. So after watching this and watching Ethan and looking at things, what are we seeing Ethan with all the time? What does he have with him now all the time?
The book?
Not the book.
The stick.
The stick. Who always carries a stick? You're seeing it as a sword. Like
the wizard.
The lead wizard.
Yeah.
The main wizard, the one that has all the answers, always has the staff, right? The magical staff. I mean, no accident that Ethan injured his leg, and he needs that, right? Everywhere we see him now, he's got that staff with him, like, you too shall not pass. So I started putting together some quest ideas, right? Because what I got is that, more and more as the last season went along, and now this season is kicking off, they are really leaning into this whole quest idea. So it's either a ruse to get us to go in one direction while they do all this over here, or this is where they're leading us. So there's different parts to play, because he says,
everybody's got to play their part.
Yeah, Victor's doing his thing, right? So who is the Chromonocle? Who is that? Like, who is going to be the Chromonocle in our story? Is there going to just be one? He says that it gets scarier the closer you get to the end of the quest.
Right.
Everyone has a part to play. A symbol can be a good thing or a bad thing. Like, it can make you do good things or it can make you do bad things. Is Ethan like the wizard, the key, the guide? Like when you're in an escape room, I've only been in one, or you're trying to solve a puzzle, there's like a key, and you start writing out, like, because I remember, like, in Chem Lab, you'd have all these things and you would start to gather your information to try, like, we were given an unknown solution. We had to figure out what it was. So we'd take out all the clues that we had and you'd make a list and you'd start saying, okay, well, this is this, this is this, this and this, until, you could narrow down your unknowns to nothing, So then is Jade the seeker? Because there's always someone that goes off and they're looking for something. And that's what Jade is doing, right? Like, he always was the first one. He's like, it's an escape room. I've got to solve this problem. What Jade does is solve problems. He sees an issue and he starts attacking it in his Jade way, right? We haven't talked about it yet. But we have a troll that guards the monsters while they sleep. That little being with the ball. That thing, that stone thing, it's an alarm. Boyd is the gatherer, right? Mr. Fish and Loaves. They needed someone to land in that town that would go out and gather things so that all the other players can use them. And the most important thing is the talisman. There's always, the kryptonite for the monsters. Yeah, monsters, not monsters. There's always a protection piece, and that's the talisman. You put on this and you're protected. Like whenever you're in a game, there's always something you can use to protect yourself, right? Kristi does the healing.
Is the healer.
She's the healer, right? And the boy in white is like little information cards, right? He tells Victor, this is how you get out of the cavern.
How to get to where you need to go.
And he only pops up at certain times.
Well,
right?
before May, right? I mean, after May.
After what?
After May, right? Isn't it after May you can wear white?
Oh, yeah. Between May and September. That's the only time he shows up. White. Yeah. But he shows up at pivotal points, like with Boyd and Sarah. And he points to the tree. Go to the tree, right?
Right.
So this is what I gathered. I didn't know when I was going to talk about the quest thing, but that's what I gathered. Okay. Let's go to the bus. And we can tie 3 things together with that one song, A Hard Rain's Gonna Fall. I remember the first time I heard that song, it was in Born on the 4th of July, the Tom Cruise movie.
Yep.
About Vietnam. And I just remember how much I loved that song. And it wasn't sung by Bob Dylan in that movie. It was sung by Edith Brickell, the New Bohemians. And I loved her version. And it reminded me a little bit of, now I can't think of what her real name is, but she played Jenny in Forrest Gump.
Oh, whatchamacallit's ex-husband.
Her ex, Sean Penn's ex-wife. But
Princess Bride.
Yeah,
something right.
Robin Wright.
Yes.
Robin Wright. Yeah.
We're of just a plethora of knowledge here today.
Yeah, it's like an encyclopedia. But if you notice, right, the diner plays it. It starts with. Actually, it doesn't start with the diner. No, it starts with the diner.
But also,
it doesn't start with
Elgin.
Boyd?
But no,
that's
Elgin,
the whole thing. But I can't remember which one we see first, whether it was the diner or.
So what happened, I believe, is Boyd is ringing the bell. He starts stroking out, and then it starts.
No. It's playing while he's walking.
All right. You know what? I just saw it, and I'm like, So it's playing.
I didn't catch it until one of my several times through. I was like, wait a minute, because at first I was just connecting the diner and the bus with the song with Elgin, but then I'm watching Boyd walk, and it's playing while he's ringing the bell, and his hand starts to shake, right? And that's when we see the bus. So it's the diner, then Boyd, and then the bus. And Boyd's hand starts to shake violently, almost like you're shaking up a snow globe. Trouble is coming, right?
Right.
It's just a hard rain's going to fall. It's downpouring when we start the episode. And then we go from Boyd to Elgin on the bus, and he wakes up and he's like, oh my God. And he starts looking around. He's like, no. We can't be here, and that's when he freaks out And
But what
he's
I don't
like,
understand is
yes.
how the hell does he know where he is?
He just dreamt about it. That's the thing. He fell asleep listening to that song, and
I don't think that's it. I think he has some
he had a bad
connection.
dream.
No, that may be true and you could be right. I think there's more to it where he's either been there or something. Because I'm guaranteed there's a connection with him and somebody else in from. I would bet my bottom dollar on it. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. I have a feeling that it could have been a dream. You're probably right because that's the theme of this year,
No,
this
well, I
season.
thought
But
he
I have
said he had a dream. I
he
thought he
did?
said he
Okay,
had a
then I'm
dream.
wrong.
I thought he did say
Okay.
that. I didn't write it
You know what the problem
in
is?
my
After
what's the
watching it,
problem?
you don't get the closed caption. And I
Oh,
love
yeah.
watching the closed
Yeah,
caption, and
there were
since we have
some
the
things
screeners,
missing.
it's a pain in the you know what.
Yeah, he wakes up from a dream.
Okay,
Yeah,
that's fine.
so we got screeners because we had participated in the junket, and so Alex and I are actually recording this the night before it drops so that we can drop this right away, but there's no closed captions, and, when Victor is like, he blah, 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 he told me where to go, and I'm like, "What is he saying?" And I'm like,
And I
rewinding.
rewound it like 4 times. Yeah, I did the
Finally, I'm
same
like,
thing.
"Boy in white." It was the boy in white. I was like,
Yeah.
duh, how did I not get that? But yeah, there were a couple of things where I was like, it would have been nice to have closed captioning. And I never did that until I started podcasting because you have to know what
Right.
everyone's saying.
But that
So
said, so Elgin ends up freaking out. He throws up
because
on one of the because of all this, he ends up throwing
yeah,
up on one of the new characters who's the
yeah.
a young kid, tough guy, and
I was calling him plaid crew cut because he had on a plaid shirt and a crew cut kind of hair. Like it wasn't really a crew cut, it was just super short. What did you do? I can't hear you.
no, it's nothing. I muted
Oh.
myself because I was looking for something. But no, yeah,
Oh,
you're absolutely right. He's a tough guy, definite
yeah,
tough guy, and
yeah.
or he's acting like a tough guy, which could you know
Well,
could
he looked
happen as well.
pretty woozy after the house, collapsed. But, on this bus, we have Elgin, the bus driver, and Elgin wasn't listed as a new character. So, and neither what, no, she was. We have Elgin, the bus driver, Mr. Plaid crew cut, the fiance, the
Now
rain
he's in
dance
9
lady.
episodes. Yeah, they're all in
Yeah,
they're all in
Elgin
several
is?
I'm gonna check, but I checked right before we went on air, and I believe he's
Yeah.
on in 9 episodes. Where the heck is his name? Um, of course, I can't find it because I'm
Yeah.
looking for it. Nathan
All right.
Simmons, he's
Well,
in 9 episodes. Yep,
okay.
he's in 9 episodes. So
So,
he's not going anywhere.
yeah. So we have the last one is Jean Jacket. He's the only one that we got a name for. Him and Elgin got names. We don't know what the fiance's name is, do we? I don't remember. If I
Yeah.
think Kristi just
No,
referred to her as my fiance.
I believe they told her, and of course Jesus.
I don't remember hearing her name at all. But anyway, the bus obviously has taken a wrong turn. And the bus driver is responsible for keeping the bus on time, and on schedule because everything depends on that. And she's taken a wrong turn. She doesn't really want to stop and doesn't stop until Elgin throws up on plaid crew cut. And so they stop at the diner very reluctantly. And the thing is, she would have had to, well, yeah, because he threw up, she would have to clean, the bus again. Or not again, but clean the bus so that they could continue on. So, I think the thought was, all right, we'll stop here. You guys can go in and get something quick or whatever. But this is what I don't understand. The diner is locked.
Well, they were all up at the Colony House.
So?
Well, they locked the
They're
diner.
the only ones there and it's daylight. Who's going to come into the diner?
Somebody could steal. You don't know what people are doing. I mean, that's what they do. They just lock the diner. They've done that before. They've locked the diner. They locked the diner several times.
Yeah,
when they're not there.
It doesn't make sense to me. That doesn't make, unless that's where they keep the food and they're trying to protect it.
They're trying to make sure nobody takes away stuff.
Boards. Yeah. So the fiance, being a pediatric nurse, starts tending to Elgin, and she's running through her diagnostic questions, and she says, "Do you know where you are?" And he looks at her and he's like, "Do you? Do you?"
Right.
Like, we are in a bad place, And I love that look he gives her. "Do you?" And so, at this point, Jade has let Donna know that these people have pulled up.
There's a bus there and they need to take care of it.
Donna comes down with Kenny and 2 other people from the Colony House and comes down with rifles in the van.
Well, wait, I want to jump back 1 second. Before they go down, Donna and Kenny have a conversation. And that conversation is, listen, you're going to have to step up, Kenny. We don't know if Boyd's going on a siesta or what's going on, but you're going to have to be the man. And I mean, could he look any younger in those moments? I mean, I think they instead of aged him, they reverse aged him for those scenes. I mean, he looked like he was 12.
I know, but he always does. He's just a young looking guy, but like, I love it when she was just like, "You're the sheriff now. You are," like, she was putting her trust in him. And then when he goes to walk everybody into the diner that first time, where he's like, "Come on, everybody," he hooks his thumbs into his utility belt, because like that's how he views authority. And I'm like, you go, Kenny. Like, that's what the cop does. "All right, everybody, let's go."
Everybody go in. Yep.
Yeah. Come on. So,
and then they hear they start hearing, well, they go back to Jim, I think, at that point.
Well, I'm not going to flip around yet, but
okay. Keep
because
going.
Donna's trying to tell just the bus driver.
Yeah, this was a classic confrontation.
Yeah. And the thing about it was that it was like Donna trying to talk to her old self. If Donna had landed there and someone just came up to the car and said, "We've got to get off the street like right now," and they just scurried in, if that had happened, she would have been like, "You're talking nonsense." But the fact that her sister was torn to shreds in front of her, that is the only reason Donna bought that whole, hook, line, and sinker at the beginning. And here she is, she's sounding like a lunatic talking to this bus driver who is like, "I am late. I've got to get these people back on the bus and get back as close to my schedule as possible. You are talking nonsense."
And if she had said emergency services one more time, I was going to kill her.
Maybe you should have been drinking every time she said it, but I think it was just driving home the point that we were not in Kansas anymore.
Well, I mean, I don't know anything about the actress, and she sounds and looks like a lovely person, but if she ever says emergency services one more time, I was going to just come through that freaking thing. And it's just like, stop, they're not coming, you dumb. And she could not.
She doesn't know it.
No, but she could not. But she could not have been any more annoying and it was great. I mean, I loved it. It's just like, oh my God, you don't know what you're getting yourself into.
I
It
know,
was
but
great.
she
It
was
was a great
doing
scene.
her job. She was doing her job. You
We're
know, it's
making
like,
time, baby. We're making time.
yeah, it reminded me so much of being on set that, everything, every second matters. And when
Right.
my kids, they've been called up to set and they are just lollygagging, like, oh, yeah. I'm like, just leave it. Just leave it. Let's go. Let's go. And they're just like, yeah. Drives me
Try to get
crazy.
an 8-year-old out the
You've
door.
got,
You'll see that
yeah,
too.
you've got to stay on schedule. Period. So, um, they're moving, Kenny's moving everyone into the diner. So fiance says to Elgin, why don't we go? And as
Right.
she's walking him in, he collapses into a seizure, which draws
Right.
over Kenny and Julie. But the thing about it was that in case Kenny was going to say something, I just got the feeling that Elgin was being kept from going into the diner. And that's why he had a seizure. Because it doesn't even make sense that he threw up on the guy. Like he's just like, I got to get off the bus. I have to get off the bus. And
See,
then
I think you're missing something. I think Elgin's sickness, the house, and Boyd are all connected. They're all connected. And I can explain how.
Yeah. Somehow,
Every time,
yeah.
every time Jim did something, Elgin got sick. Every time Elgin got sick, Boyd had another issue. Whether he saw
I didn't
somebody,
even notice that.
something always happened. And I think that there's a connection. I could be wrong, but there's definitely a connection between Elgin and the house. There's a definite connection.
Back up to the song. Who's it connected to? Boyd, Elgin, and the town. Wait a minute. Boyd, Elgin, and the diner. The town.
Yeah.
So I think
there's definitely something. There's
point.
definitely something there. And I mean, like I said, there nothing happens by accident. And I think that Elgin is tied somehow to the creatures or this place in a different way. My gut feeling is him and Tom are know each other. Don't get me. I have no idea. I just have that's just a gut feeling.
Wait a minute. Isn't there always an oracle in the quest? Someone that knows things and just maybe he's like some sort of oracle.
I don't
because
know,
he was
but
given the dream on the way in, and his body is reacting to that place by throwing up, reverse peristalsis. I can't believe I remember that, but by throwing up and then having seizures. His body's reacting to that place.
right.
So
that said, I gotta bring this up now. How friggin' awesome was Donna with the friggin' rifle? I'm sorry.
I haven't gotten to that point yet, but yeah. I mean, she just walks up and she's like, and when she did that, I was like, because she was on a hunting trip with her sister. She knows how to handle
they had the
rifle.
guns. Oh yeah, she knows how to use guns.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, she stops her. She definitely stops her, and that's what's important, So what you want to keep going? So just keep going.
Yeah, I mean, I do have a question, and this goes back to the emergency crews that the bus driver keeps giving us. If she's so intent on alerting emergency personnel, why doesn't she call or radio them?
Well, and that's the thing.
Bus?
Right, yeah.
Why doesn't she do that?
Exactly.
I mean, we don't get the sense that it's not working because no one says that their phones aren't working or the the radio isn't working. No one says that.
I think
But
she
why,
just wants to
you
keep
know,
on time. I think she wants to keep on time and be like, "Oh, the people here will call them. It'll be fine, whatever."
yeah, it just
Uh,
it doesn't seem to I don't know, like,
Jive. And no, it
wouldn't
doesn't
the
jive,
first
but
thing it doesn't jive, yeah. So, jumping over to the house, because these 2 storylines converge a little bit. So, the house reacts every time. The first collapse was to seal the hole to the cavern below. So, when Tabitha breaks through to the cavern, right? She falls through,
mhm,
the house collapse enough to seal that hole.
right.
When they get the hole, Jim and the guys get the hole cleared out, the entire house collapses on that hole.
But see, the thing is, every time they pulled something out, at one point, it
The
something
house
fell
shuddered.
down.
Yeah,
No, just a
exactly. The
little bit,
house
a little
was
bit, a little
shuddering.
bit.
Yeah, because it
Yeah.
was trying to say, "Stop it," almost like responding to pain stimuli, like it was like a nerve ending. And so every time they'd move a piece out, yeah, it would be shaking. And Jim just saw it as an unstable structure, being the engineer that he is.
Because he's
But the
used to that.
house,
He's used to that being
yeah,
an engineer.
yeah.
It's a
So, but
living
the
thing.
house was responding to it. It was like because that lowest layer had been exposed, the one thing they couldn't have were, if this is some kind of quest, some kind of game, they couldn't have that hole, that unplanned for hole, open so that the monsters could come right out of it, or that they could have access to the monsters and kill them in their sleep, because
If
that's
you
all they'd have
can.
to do. And
Well, that's to say if they could.
it would be really a really interesting way to turn the tables if they figured that out, that they could sneak up on them while they were sleeping and kill them. And even if they don't get them all at once, maybe those monsters would go right back to that cavern and go back to sleep, and they'd kill them one at a time. So who was hunting who at that point?
And
Because,
that'll be in
you
probably
know,
season 3 or 4
yeah,
when they
yeah,
figure out how to
maybe
kill
that's
them.
it. Who knows? Like, I don't want them to get out of there. But it's just because one of my notes, the more they move debris, the more the house shakes, like it responds to it, until it's so imperative for the house, like it's getting so dangerous, it just has to collapse. And the house finally does collapse. And one of the guys, plaid crew cut, had made it up the stairs, so he's able to get out of the house, but Jean Jacket doesn't make it, Tom doesn't make it, and Jim doesn't make it. And Jim, I think, is like right over the hole. Like a bunch of
Right,
debris is
it's one
falling
more
in.
beam. I think he said it's one more beam.
Yeah. So, he's not in a good place. He doesn't know that he's in a really bad place, but he's not in a good place.
I will say this
Um,
though, to bring this
yeah.
up, we got the trailer so wrong, and I don't
Oh,
care,
with the
but
house? I know. I
we
know.
got
I'm
every
like, I
we
felt so
got it.
stupid.
Oh my gosh, we're like trying to get a map, we're trying to do this, and it was so simple that it was
It
hard.
was the
But,
Matthews house.
going back to the collapse, the one thing that I really did love was
Yeah.
the relationship between, Jim and Julie
Yeah.
Matthews. And I
Yeah.
think that, once it's all collapsed, he knows, because he knows structures, he's an engineer, what has to be done. He also
Yeah.
knows the world, and he knows that he has got to sacrifice everything to save the greater good. And
Yeah.
I love that. I love that, it's a good thing that Julie was with Donna at Colony House in the
Yeah.
beginning, because
Yeah.
there's a lot of respect there. And right now, Donna's the mayor. If Kenny is the sheriff, she's
Sheriff.
definitely the mayor. And
Yeah. She's next in charge or at the top. I mean,
And
Father
I just,
Daughtry is gone.
I mean, I love the fact how Jim's relationship with Julie has changed so much. It went from, you know, hating each other, not hating each other, but Julie hating him and his
Well, hating
mom.
her parents
Right, just hating her
because
parents, hating the family for everything, you know,
yeah,
scaring her brother, to
yeah,
now she's all in with the family.
yeah. Like
And of
they
course,
found healing,
I mean, of course,
you know?
because she's all in, disaster has to happen.
Yeah,
But
yeah. Now the happiness can't last, but yeah, because when I was trying to find out, like I was doing my research, there's Tabitha and Julie sitting on the rim of the hole in the basement, and Tabitha's saying, I didn't do the right thing when Thomas died.
right.
I couldn't focus on anything else but that. So, they did their, healing right there at that hole.
Right.
Um, so is the quest the pursuit of love and happiness? Because what is the quest? Like, what's the point of the quest? If
And
that's
you know
the thing.
something, I can't wait to hear what listeners say with
Yeah,
feedback, because I mean,
yeah,
we have two takes, you have your take, I have my take, and our takes are kind of this similar and we're kind of separate in certain ways, but I can't wait to get those other theories, because I'm open to being swayed any which way. And I mean that in a good way, because I just think I don't care which way it goes. I just can't wait to see which way they goes. And
yeah.
I mean that in an excitement way, not in a doesn't care way. Um, but that whole collapse was a great. They do a good job in this show of putting bows on each episode where people are. Like that's where they are. They're not going anywhere. Boom. They're going to get those. Well, no, they do have an opening with the with the people. They still haven't figured out what they're doing. But I just thought that was a nice little bow. It's a cliffhanger bow, but it's still a bow. Um,
Yeah.
so where do you want to go next? Since I'm
Well,
trying to hold on for dear life here.
uh, I just want to make sure I hit all my points.
Okay.
Um, so I love that Donna gave us a little timeline piece, that she
Yeah.
survived almost a year there before Boyd found the talismans. And we know that it's only been a couple months that they've had the talismans.
Right.
So she's been there just over a year. Um, let's see. Tom comes up and he mentions, because like he's coming up to the bus and things are kind of nuts at the bus. And he says, I'm a bartender. Crowd control is my thing.
I love that.
But is that a roundabout way to saying I'm the in-game host?
You could read that anyway, but I just thought it was just a line. I
Yeah,
mean, yeah, I mean,
but nothing is just a line. That's the whole
but you
thing,
know what?
Alex.
Sometimes, Lizzie, it is just a line. And
Not
and I
buying it.
I know that's why we're doing the podcast. But at the
It
same time, I think that you know, remember, he wasn't just a bartender. So I mean, he has other skills, and
What are his
and
other skills?
but I'm
Uh,
just saying, he was
distilling?
what's that? No,
He's a
no, I mean, he wasn't a bartender in the beginning. Like he came from he had a different profession. He was
What
never a
was his
bartender.
profession?
Oh, I forget. I know
I
people.
forget now too.
Uh,
But at any rate, he did do something else. But the thing that kinda makes me wonder, I just, by the at the very end of doing my notes, I was like, "Tom's gonna die." And if Tom dies, someone has to take his place if he's the in-game host. And it
yeah.
made me wonder, like, is he being replaced because, Tabitha dug that hole? And that was going on without him realizing
Under
it.
his watch, under his
Yeah,
watch.
under his watch. It's one thing if they're gonna build a radio and think that they're going to contact the outside world. That's part of the game.
Right.
But for Tabitha to interfere with the monsters where they, in their intimate space, the monsters can come out of there and invade their space, but they cannot invade the monster space. And it makes me think that a major mistake was made.
Well, that also goes under the heading, if Tom is who we think he is, which is part of, and if he isn't, then he's just another innocent victim of circumstance or whatever.
Yeah, and it just makes where he's trapped in the house. We don't know how badly
And
he's
all I know
hurt.
is if he is the key to this whole thing, Reed has some explaining to do, young man. No,
well, he would if he didn't have an NDA.
I know, right? Come on. He really needs to, step it up.
So Jim and Tom are pinned down. We don't know what the status of Jean Jacket is. And then Jim assigns, because Julie and Kenny come running over, and then a lot of bus people come running over along with Donna at the same time.
Right.
And they bring out the guy, plaid crew cut. Kristi's helping him down because she's starting to treat him right away.
Right. She's starting to treat people.
Yep. And Jim assigns Julie to Donna in case anything happens to him, or just at least in the interim. And now fiance has Elgin stabilized, and she's like, do you want to go to the diner? As they're walking across, oh, wait a minute, no.
What happened was she went to go get the first aid kit.
Yeah.
Kenny gives him the water.
Yeah.
Kristi looks up, and all of a sudden, then the girlfriend looks up, and then boom. And then wah, 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 wah.
And the thing is, like, it made me wonder, like, what fiance would be thinking, because Kristi knows the entire time that she's been stuck here. She did not willingly leave fiance. But fiance
doesn't know.
Left assumes that two things could have happened. Kristi was taken in some way and is dead, or kept prisoner someplace by some stupid creep, or she ran off with somebody else. And I'm like, as we're seeing fiance walk towards Kristi, I'm like, those thoughts are running through my head that's what she's thinking. Like, which is it? Which is it? Because she does not know yet what kind of place this is, like where they have stopped. And the only way that Donna is going to have any validation is because fiance and Kristi know each other. And when Kristi says, this is what goes down here,
this is what's going to happen.
This is what's going to happen. And
people No, absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, I'm with you 1,000%.
Yeah. And so bus driver is like, I am leaving. And then the other people that are at the house trying to help, they're like, there's people trapped here. We will get to the next town and send back emergency services. And they're like,
drink.
Yeah. And they start going back to the bus. And then that's when Donna is like, look, I got to tell everybody. I've been trying to tell her. She's not having it. So here's what's going down in this town at sundown. And so they're all like, what are you talking about? And then the bus driver is like, I'm leaving. She goes to get on the bus. She turns the bus on. Donna comes over and she's like, boom. And everyone freaks out. That's when everyone is freaking out. So that's kind of where, like, we leave everything. They kind of cover up the house to hide the fact that Tom and Jim and Jean Jacket are in the house. And it's not evident by what's going on in the cavern that they know what's going on. Like, there's these people trying to break through because they've been sleeping the whole time. And then they end up distracted. And that's where we're going to talk about the cavern.
Are we?
Yeah, let's talk about it.
Okay, so let's talk about the cavern. And,
Yeah.
when we talk about the cavern, there's a lot of interesting things. The first thing that Victor keeps saying is to be brave. And I
Yeah.
think that that's an important thing because bravery comes in many, many forms, not to mention the fact that who else talked about being brave? Her son
Ethan, yeah.
talked about being brave. And I do want to point out a couple of things about the cavern because if you watch the trailer, and a lot of the trailer was this episode, okay?
Yeah.
Um, you were looking around and you saw some different items. You saw an old TV, a
Oh,
tricycle,
yeah. Yeah.
a couple
A
of dead bodies,
wheelchair.
a
Yeah.
wheelchair, a clock. And
Yeah,
then
the
all of a
grandfather clock, the
sudden,
60s TV, the dead crow. Like, what does that dead crow actually mean, though?
we saw, the Fred Astaire dummy
Yeah.
but what that was all fine until a couple of things happened. One, he saw the dummy, he freaked out.
Yeah. He
And
freaked out.
also what I think was the reason why the monsters woke up. Okay?
Because
That what
Catalina wouldn't shut up.
Nope, had nothing to do with that. Had nothing to do with that. I believe that what happened was that white creature that was jailed up, she did the little Jenga deal. She did a
Oh,
little
yeah,
Jenga
yeah,
bowling.
yeah, yeah. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
after she did the Jenga bowling,
That's what woke up. Sorry.
that's what woke him up. Now,
Yeah.
that structure we keep seeing a lot. And I believe that that is a key to part of their kryptonite.
Remind
Okay.
me where we've seen that structure.
Well, I've just seen it on ads, with all the press and everything else. It was in the
Oh,
trailer. It was in the trailer several
yeah.
times. It was in the trailer
Yeah.
in and out of the caverns. They put a
Yeah.
structure outside the cavern that looks similar to that. And my point being is that is going to be a key to them fighting back.
Well, when I first saw the trailer and we see that little creature,
Who looks like
and
she's
we see the
jailed.
yeah, it looks like she's jailed, but that's the troll under the bridge. And her job is to let no one pass, or its job is to let no one pass into the cavern while they're sleeping, right? So that whole thing with the ball was to knock over that structure
To make the
to
monsters
wake
wake up,
them
to
up.
get them the heck out.
That was the alarm. Yeah,
But the
that was
thing
the
is
alarm.
the thing is, Victor had said something about the boy in white. He was gonna tell him
Yeah.
how to get out,
He
and
did
it was
tell him how to get
no, I'm
out,
saying
but
he
yeah,
told Tabitha that, and also it was interesting how Victor was the strong one, and then the role reverse happened.
yeah, yep,
A-
they had a
a-
role switch. As soon as he saw the dummy and he never regained himself. So what's the deal with the dummy?
Right. And
That's
that's
the
something
whole
we just
thing.
have to find out. That's something we have to find out, and that's what makes this an interesting thing. But I
Yeah.
think the theme of being brave and is this a dream is going to be a big theme for this season. Because I think a
Well
lot of people are going to have to be brave, and I think a lot of people are going to have to figure out if this is a dream or not.
and Elgin has a bad dream.
Exactly.
But
So
being brave is part of the quest.
no, I understand that, but my
Yeah.
point being is, how
No,
is
I know what
everybody
your
going to
point is. I'm just saying being brave is part of the quest.
and the other part of the quest is, how are you going to be brave, and you going to be brave, and you going to be brave? It's kind of like that Oprah moment where we have to figure out really how everybody is going to play their part
Yeah.
and get out of here alive or whatever.
Yeah.
um I mean, I love the cavern scene. I think that it we're going to end up going back to that possibly.
Oh, we'll go
We
back.
also
Yeah.
we also saw some new creatures. We saw the
Mhm.
cheerleader creature from the trailer.
Yep.
Um,
So
and
there's a waitress
Mhm.
And I think there's a guy in an orange plaid shirt and a guy in a green plaid shirt.
So
A guy in work clothes who I initially thought was Victor's dad. I don't know how I missed for some reason, I thought he freaked out at looking at that guy, but it was the dummy, and it was my
right,
last time through that I caught that.
right.
There's a large guy, it looks like he's wearing a scarf, and then, of course, the cheerleader, which at first I couldn't tell if it was a boy or a girl.
No, it's definitely a girl.
Yeah, after, she got moving, then I knew, because her legs, I was like, "Wow, those are some muscular legs." But it just really bothered me, she falls through to the cavern, and Victor's there, and he's leading her, and there's the symbol on the wall, and there's drawings and stuff, but he's like, "Shh, be quiet." I'm like, Tabitha is a reasonably intelligent woman. And here they are in this crazy, scary land overall. And he's telling her to be quiet. They're in the cavern. And she's just like talking, talking, talking. And I'm like, shut up. You're going to wake them up. Like, I
I
was
know.
just like,
I
because he
know.
says to her, this is where they sleep. I
I know.
know, like, I can be woken up. Can you be woken up, Alex?
Everybody can be woken up.
Including the monsters. So, and I loved, like, he was so steady. He was the rock until he saw the dummy.
Right. No, I get it. I mean, and we have to figure out what it is, and we're not going to figure it out today. So
Yeah.
it's something that we're just going to have to put in the back of our head and keep,
Yeah.
and it's just another piece of the puzzle that we're going to have. It's that one piece that we have to figure out where it goes.
Yeah.
Now the
So
last thing. Oh, I'm sorry.
I was just going to say, whoever was on the radio knew about the cavern.
Oh, of course.
But I'm just making that point that
Right.
whoever was on the radio, and maybe Tom went in to help Jim because he knew that she was digging that hole
Right.
to get down below, and he needed to police that situation given that he's the in-game host.
If that's the theory that we want to go with, I'm not saying that it's not. I'm just saying.
Yeah, it's one of our thoughts, but where Victor was leading them out based on what the boy in white said,
Right.
given those directions, Tabitha didn't have that conversation with the boy in white. So instead, what ended up happening, she went back to things that she had learned. Follow the water. There's
Right.
water here. And as you notice, there was more and more water the closer they got to the mouth of the cavern.
Absolutely.
And they got out.
Now,
And like you said, there was another one of those structures.
that said, I don't know. Yeah. The last scene that we're going to talk about, because it's the only thing that's left,
Yeah.
is Boyd being
Boyd.
trapped. And,
Yeah.
There's a couple of things that, one, that's where we left him. Two, he tries to climb up, has no success. He finally hears somebody, and he's like, "Are you real?" And then one guy's like, "Are you real?" And
Yeah.
it was a really
Well,
cool
the guy
scene.
asked him first, "Are you real?"
Right, that's what I mean. And he's like, "Are you
Yeah.
fucking real?"
Yeah.
In a great Harold Perrineau way. And then all of
Yeah.
a sudden the rope comes down. And what's neat about this scene, this whole event, I should say, is it's like the area, I don't know if you want to call it whatever you want to call it, was trying to keep him down because his son with the boat key is down there, and why would it be there? It's a hallucination. He was trying to keep him down there trapped. And
I
it's
don't think
I
so.
feel I know so. I know so.
You
You
know
can
so. Okay. Why do
you
you
can
know so?
because there's no other reason why he would be there. He couldn't climb up. The only way he got out was by someone that helped him. He had
Who
an
threw the
aide.
rope? Who
I
threw
don't
the
know
rope?
yet. No, but again, you want to talk about the game? This is part of the tools of the game. That's my point. If it is a game or a quest, like you said, there's other players that we may not know yet. And
Yeah.
that's the thing. So I believe the entity or whatever, the from entity was trying to keep him down. Why would he be hallucinating that way? There's no other reason. He finally gets out. And this comes to the end of the episode. And they're having that conversation. Are you real? Are you real? And he's like, good, you have a gun. And then the cliffhanger is, I want you to kill me. And we're all thinking the same thing. How'd the guy throw the rope down if he's locked up? And who is he afraid of while he's locked up? And I think that
Who is they? Who is they? They'll be back. They'll be here soon.
Whoever they is. But, and again, there could be a couple of factions going on. There could be the guy that's locked up for whatever reason. There could be the entity that threw the rope. That could be a different group. It could be the white people.
I think the closest we're going to get is that there's two different forces working against each other.
There's good and evil. Let's just say good and evil.
I don't know if it's good and evil, but it could be two players playing against each other.
Absolutely.
One player wants him in, and the other one is going to find a way. Like one player, because like what happens is someone rolls the dice, and the rope gets thrown.
Right. No. It's definitely a choose your own adventure.
Let me finish. One throws the dice, the rope gets thrown. He starts climbing out. The next player rolls the dice and gives him a hallucination.
Okay.
And then the other guy or the other player or maybe a third player gets him out of the well. So maybe one of the things is the guy that is chained to the wall, who at the very first time I saw it, I thought for some reason it was Jim. But the guy who is chained to the wall, maybe he's a player that has to get to the next part of the game.
Or he's just a player, or he's just a character like you would see in any other game. He just gives information.
And actually, you know what? The only escape room I ever did, there was a girl handcuffed to the wall.
Okay.
I don't know much about, escape rooms.
I don't know anything about escape rooms except that I don't want to go in them because I don't want to be trapped. But
I had to, you know what it was? I was freaking out before the door opened and we were starting it. I was freaking out. And I had to say to myself, this isn't real.
Right.
And that is the only way. And as we walked through, because it was multiple rooms to get to the end, as we went through, I was like, yeah, whatever. The entire thing was ruined for me because the only way I could get through it was to tell myself it wasn't real. And maybe that's the point.
It goes back to, is it a dream? Is it a dream or not?
Real. Yeah. And I'm like, here he is. He's in this well. Where does the water get in?
Again, it could be dead well. It could be a whole bunch of things. All right.
I don't know.
I don't know either, but you know what? I mean, we can overanalyze it all you want. It's only one episode. We got to see. It's one chapter in a book. You can't.
Wait a minute. We are not ever overanalyzing.
No, yes, we can on one episode.
No, we are not. No, we are not. It's
okay.
Impossible. That's what we get paid to do.
Yes, all those thousands of, I'm waiting for the thousands of pennies. But no, that said, do you have any other notes since we basically went through every big major scene?
The question, it's so weird. I forgot about this question that I had. The who is they, but then, I don't know if you can see,
it's okay.
This is part of my color coding.
I understand. It's okay.
But this question right here.
Which is what?
I was totally not agreeing with you, but then I'm looking at the question. I'm like, does some force not want him out of the well? i.e., Ellis pulls him back. What is his part in the quest?
What did I just say?
I know. And I was like sitting over here. I'm like, no, you're wrong. but yet I wrote this.
Okay, so once in a while I get it right.
Validated.
Yeah, exactly. No, I think, I mean, the fact is they
But
put it on a nice
he wakes
cliffhanger.
up in the well dreaming. Elgin is dreaming
What are you talking about?
when
Elgin was dreaming. Yes, okay.
Elgin was dreaming and Boyd was dreaming to the same song. I want to know
Maybe.
what Elgin was dreaming.
Again, what I'm trying to say is, as much as we can overanalyze it, we got to see the whole thing, and we got to
Is
see what
this
happens next week.
real?
Okay,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
I'm cutting it off now because
No.
I'm
No.
done.
I'm checking. All right, hold on. Here's
Lizzie.
just one question I didn't ask.
Okay, I can't wait for this.
If Jade thinks Ethan is a creepy little kid, what kind of kid was Jade?
Oh, he was the same little pain in the ass.
I know.
So, I mean, that's an easy
why
question.
He has no patience for Ethan.
No, actually, I don't think Ethan was.
I
don't think Ethan is as bad as you're making it out to be. I think Jade was worse.
I don't think Ethan's a creepy little kid at all.
No,
Jade called him a creepy little kid.
Jade's a little pain in the ass, but Jade's a little jaded, so it doesn't really matter.
He's jaded.
But I think that we did a pretty good job of analyzing it, and I think that people are going to be, if they're not satisfied with this opening, then I don't know what they could do. There's a lot of questions. There's a couple of answers, but there's more questions than answers. And we've got a couple more episodes to look at. And I think that that's what's great about this show. I just think that we have to just keep looking at it as a chapter. And if we look at it as a chapter, we got to wait till the next chapter and then go from there.
Dungeons and Dragons, do you know anything about it?
D&D, it's a role-playing game. Yeah, and that's
I know, but have you played?
Oh, I played when I was years ago. Yes, I did play years ago.
Is this Dungeons and Dragons?
I mean, you could make a case for that. That's for darn sure. I think that there is a lot of truth to that in terms of the guides of what you're saying. Everybody has to play a character. I think that fits perfectly, and I love it. We're gonna have to see if it plays out. I mean, and I don't mean to be funny about that, Lizzie, but I mean, I know you and I love talking about it, but at the end of the day, it's like you have to sometimes take a step back to go 2 steps forward. And I think that's what we're going to have to do here. And I think that's what the show is going to end up doing with us a little bit. No, you love the show, and so do I. And I can't wait for people to see this when it drops and get their thoughts. I mean, that's what it's all about, because you have a take, I have a take. I can't wait to hear what everybody else's take is. All right, folks, that's our show. And thanks for listening. If you like the podcast, could you hit the subscribe button? And if you like it even more, give us 5 stars. Also, you can write in or leave voicemails or feedback to, podcastica.com. While you're there, you can check out some of the other shows. Right now, I know I'm doing after show for Yellow Jackets. Mandalorian just ended, and we had Mrs. Maisel just started. So I know we're doing a couple of different things from all the gambits of different shows. And what are you watching anything right now, Lizzie, besides this show?
Fringe.
Next week, we're going to be covering season 2, episode 2, The Kindness of Strangers. Obviously, that has some impact on the new people that we have. Hopefully, we'll get some more insight on what we're doing. And I just can't wait to see what happens. So that's our show. And the bell is ringing. So you better go home.